On February 8th, 2001, Disneyland opened up its second park, Disney's California Adventure. It's a park that for over 2 decades has received divided opinions from theme park goers. Usually when it comes to harsh theme park opinions relating to the Eisner era, I'd roll my eyes and defend his creative choices because my personal belief is that Michael Eisner did and does at the very least understand art, even if that understanding is veiled over with capitalism. But even I can't offend the executive decision it was to make a theme park located in Southern California, centralized around Californians' history and culture. Because, the market for Californian history might be a bit saturated in the middle of Orange County. The idea was that if you offered all aspects of California visitors loved, then these visitors would choose to stay at the Disney parks instead of venturing around the state to experience the real deal. This was a bad idea. And it also became somewhat financially devastating because historically, Disneyland does sustain itself off locals who live in California. Since 2001, DCA has completely reinvented itself. The park has 3 fully developed lands, and with the recent addition of Avengers Campus, DCA has become one of the most talked about theme parks in the world. But I'm not here to talk about all the things Disney's California Adventure got wrong. No, I'm here to talk about the one thing it got right. Hi, this is Main Street Toffee, where we talk about all things Disney and the complicated history that makes it so. On December 20th, 2002, a character dining experience named Ariel's Grotto opened. It was a kitschy, 1900s, pure amusement-inspired princess dining experience where they served cotton candy as appetizers, chocolate clamshells, and referred to every guest with medieval titles. No, like for real, every little girl was a princess and her dad was called a sire. When I was 5, my parents took me to Disneyland for the first time. Now, I have never not had a Disney stage. When I was 8, it was Pixie Hollow Fairies and Enchanted, and when I was 13, it was Pocahontas and Tangled. When I was in high school, it was Treasure Planet and Hercules, and now it's theme parks and Star Wars and the company's impact on cinema and capitalism, which I will admit is a big jump from Hercules. But when I was 5, it was princesses. I had Cinderella Polly Pockets, Snow White ceramic dolls, Aurora costumes. I watched Cinderella 2 on VHS until my VHS tape would not rewind. So for my 5th birthday, my parents took me to Ariel's Grotto. At the time, Ariel's Grotto was the only place where you could sit down and have a character dining experience where all the princesses come to see you at the Disneyland resort. This is often the ideal dining experience for families with small children. It's air-conditioned, your child gets to meet a bunch of characters, and parents, for the most part, can actually enjoy a meal because their children have some sort of stimulus. So when I started researching the Grotto, I was shocked to learn it wasn't an opening day dining experience. I imagine opening up a new park with a signature character dining experience would be common practice for a Disney park by its opening in 2001. Ariel's Grotto was a repurposed former upscale dining location formerly known as Avalon Cove. I have never heard of Avalon Cove before I started my script for this video essay. Ariel's Grotto was already a Disney experience that unless you had experienced it yourself, you probably know nothing about it. The architecture of Ariel's Grotto inside and out was beautiful. The outside building had this magnificent entrance where you walk through 2 dolphin cutouts into an upside-down seashell with a golden sculpture of what I assumed was King Triton on top of it. There's a beautifully done gold embossed sign with Ariel on the front of that. Then on the inside of the building, there was seaweed decorated columns, plenty of scalloped wall details, and light fixtures that were designed to appear like upside-down jellyfish. The best way to explain Ariel's Grotto was like if you took Boathouse from Disney Springs and then morphed it with a cheesecake factory, which doesn't sound appealing, but it went hard. There was also a gorgeous mosaic mural on the wall of a mermaid looking into a sea castle. In all these years, I just assumed that all of that was because it was Ariel's Grotto, especially stuff like Triton or the mermaid mural. I mean, when I was 5, every mermaid was Ariel anyway. Like, children will point at something, a crab and be like, oh my god, Sebastian. So I was really shocked that after seeing pictures of Avalon Cove before the Ariel rethemed, that nothing significant had been changed except for the sign out front, which I would imagine made for a very convenient overhaul. For the most part, I'm really fond of the design of the Grotto, especially at nighttime. I think it was beautiful. And in particular, when you compare it to things like the Little Mermaid Standard Room at Art of Animation, usually when we see Ariel imagery in the parks or merchandise, the 80s influence is always prevalent. Little Mermaid themed areas are always painted in high contrast teals and fiery reds, while Ariel's Grotto had natural base pastels with ocean imagery. The theming was mostly pre-existing, and Disney chose to reopen the restaurant as an Ariel-themed princess dining location simply because they could throw some hastily put together Ariel signs up, and the restaurant still made sense. So when I think about Ariel's Grotto in this context, it just serves to point out what a mess California Adventure was from the beginning. When I was researching this, something I really like to do is use old defunct Mice Chat or Mouse Chat or even Disney Food Blog message boards, because these were the people that actually got to experience it. For example, a quote that I found on old defunct Mice Chat message board was, "Unlike Avalon Cove, Ariel's Grotto consistently packs in huge numbers of families waiting to interact with the princesses. Thus, there's no incentive whatsoever for Disney to spend a dime on changing the building." What's really funny is recalling all the excuses Disney executives made at a feeble attempt to explain the abysmal attendance at DCA. The economy was not good. We've had record rainfall. All while, except for an on and immediately following 9/11, Disneyland continued to pack them in right next door. This clutch, whoever they are, they came for blood, baby. As far as the food, the restaurant menu was created by famed chef Wolfgang Puck. The food at Avalon Cove was expensive and mostly seafood based and heavy, which fit theming but is less than ideal for a theme park. I'm kind of going to take us sideways at this point in the video essay just because I think that this is very interesting, what I'm about to go into. When I was researching Avalon Cove through Disney archives or Disney history blogs, they did mention that Wolfgang Puck was affiliated with celebrities. But it wasn't until I Googled him and saw lots of pictures at the Oscars that I found out that he's been the exclusive chef for the Oscars for the past 30 plus years. I feel like this is a significant fact when unveiling what a messy failure of a restaurant Avalon Cove was. The parks were created with the intention of being Walt's ever-changing movie. Which shocks me, because I think that made Wolfgang Puck the ideal person to work as an executive chef in what should be a stimulating dining atmosphere in the world's most immersive high fantasy environment. Ultimately, this changed my perception on why Avalon Cove, like DCA, was such a failure. If a man who had spent over a decade, now 3 of them, serving in an industry that inspired Walt Disney to make Disneyland can't pull off a successful restaurant, then who else could? As far as the menu, conceptually it did look promising. There were appetizers like crispy calamari with cilantro mint aioli and spicy marinara, $10. Jumbo shipped cocktail with avocado, watercress, and cocktail sauce, $15. I feel like for the early 2000s, that's a little bit pricey, but also shrimp cocktails are posh. And I don't even like shrimp. With pastas like linguine and clams and penne with chicken. And for entrees, there were classic things to order, like grilled salmon or veal piccata or grilled New York steak béarnaise, but all of them seem to have something interesting as a side as well as a personal twist. It sounds like a really good dining location, especially in the 2000s. I mean, it was kind of hard to find a restaurant at Disney that served food at the time. So to me, honestly, at first, all of this sounded really good. I did decide to check old Disney forums to see if I could find any reviews, and at first they seemed in Avalon Cove's favor, and I assumed that the restaurant closure was mostly due to poor related attendance. But then I saw these. So this was one that I saw that was kind of positive, and it was very obviously in a transitional stage during Avalon Cove because the person didn't say Ariel's Grotto, But they said, "We made reservations for Avalon Cove and enjoyed a nice lunch there. They had fixed price on the menus of $12.95, which includes an appetizer and an entree. In addition, they have standard kids menu. The kids menu was $6.95. That's honestly, these are some good prices too. And then the fixed menu, instantly I'm like, oh yeah, that's That's a Disney dining plan. I had their French onion soup and salmon BLT sandwich, and it was very good. They also gave us sourdough bread. The kids' meal was served in a bucket they could take home, and they put the ketchup in a shovel. The ketchup in the shovel idea was stupid, as my daughter, 4 years old, of course dumped it on the floor. Other than that, the food was good. Ariel was in the reception area when we came in. While we were at the table, Goofy, Pluto, and Minnie came around. I thought the character interaction was very poor. We had much better character interaction at Goofy's kitchen. Would I do it again? No, I'd rather eat at Goofy's kitchen. But if you need Ariel's autograph and picture, it's a good option to get it. Some of these reviews, man, I'm not gonna lie, of Avalon Cove were brutal. And the thing about Disney people is that when they feel like they did not get their money's worth, they are not quiet about it. And they often get very angry. And it's like, dude, like, I'm sorry that your mouse-shaped waffle was kind of wonky today. Like, I don't know what to tell you, but like this one, it said, having suffered through one miserable meal there myself when asked about Avalon Cove, I am inclined to agree. Are you looking for good food or atmosphere? Yikes. We enjoyed Avalon Cove. It was under Puck's control and ate there once when Disney took over, but thought the food was downright mediocre. I would not recommend it. Sorry. Storyteller's Cafe, on the other hand, is what my husband and I think is the best deal for the money in terms of food and service for a sit-down meal. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner have all been good experiences so far. And these were the nicer reviews. Like this person named Dobby's Closet said, I was happily enjoying the menu and thinking about setting the Wayback Machine and making a reservation for 4 until I read the reviews in the comments. Ouch. Please, unless the food is perfect, don't put your name on it. Scurrying back to Napa Rose. Okay, well, I wouldn't say Napa Rose is affordable. Like, Dobby's Closet sounds a little bougie. I ate there in the first few months of DCA being open. I don't remember much about it, so I can't imagine it was that great. And then listen to this one. This one in particular, I was like, damn, J. Cruz 86. Like, these bitches are going for the jugular. We ate here once, and it was the worst meal experience I've ever had at the Disneyland Resort. Wolfgang Puck really phoned this one in. The plate of food wasn't good, a weird ratio of mostly mashed potatoes and terrible service. Maybe Puck learned from this because I've had a couple of good experiences at his cafes at Universal. Glad to see this DCA failure quickly go. This one said, we have to agree. We ate lunch there prior to the official opening of the park. I ordered scallops, and some obviously frozen defrosted bay scallops came on my plate with some terrible sauce. It was one of the worst meals I've had that entire year, and we were shocked. Back then, we were lucky enough to frequent Spago, Sunset Strip, and Beverly Hills locations, at least twice a year for birthdays and other special occasions. In fact, the original Spago was one of our first true foodie experiences. We ate there only 3 weeks after it opened, in January in 1982. After doing Spago that first time, we went to all of Puck's joints in the LA area, enjoying them 99% of the time. So we were quite excited to try a new Puck joint, particularly one aligned with Disney. Majorly disappointed, to say the least. The only picture I could find of the food at Avalon Cove on the internet was a singular picture of a cup of clam chowder courtesy of Yesterland and taken by Kevin Yee. Okay, so I'm not a seafood person to begin with, like at all. But imagine eating this, then going on Mickey's Fun Wheel. That just sounds like an awful time. Apparently the restaurant was so bad that Wolfgang Puck decided to not even lease his name to Disney after his departure. So in total, Ariel's Grotto only stayed as Avalon Cove for 7 months. On September 30th, 2001, Avalon Cove was closed for good. Then on December 20th, 2002, it reopened with a new sign and menu and became the signature Disneyland Resort Princess Dining Package. Up until 2012, Ariel's Grotto was an array of meet and greets, such as seasonal character meet and greets, Mickey and Friends, and of course princesses. Breakfast at Ariel's Grotto ran from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., while lunch ran from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m., and dinner was 5 p.m. to close. In 2010, World of Color opened, and shortly after, dinners at Ariel's Grotto turned into a World of Color dining package. Dinner settings for the 9 p.m. show were from 4 to 6:30 p.m., while dinner seatings for the 10:15 p.m. show were from 6:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. However, most dinner reservations lasted between 7 to 9 o'clock. It was a set course, which in my experience, I find set course meals at Disney's to be of higher quality. During its first year, the World of Color dining package was $36.99 for adults and $20.99 for children 9 and younger. This dining package was extremely popular, but in 2012, for some reason, Disney scrapped it. Then from what I can gather through message boards and blog posts, it was kind of reinstated on and off again. The next documented World of Color prices I could find were $48.58 for adults and $26.48 for children in 2017. This was still a 3-course meal, and the reviews were even better than in previous installments of the dining package. Although Ariel's Grotto is now defunct, you can still buy a World of Color dining package, Story Keller's Cafe and Wine Country, so that's $59 for adults, plus a $10 fee if steak is being ordered, and $35 for children. And during all of this, the federal minimum wage has been raised once. In 2010, the World of Color dining package started off with a fresh-baked bread basket, and it came with a spread trio with pesto, butter, and ranch. I am 100% a bread girl. Like, I could eat a whole baguette by myself if I ever allowed myself that amount of carbs. And this bread honestly looks amazing. Like the kind of bread where you put it in your mouth, you know it's going to be warm and you know it's going to be fluffy. According to anaccents.com, it was sourdough, and the thought of freshly made sourdough with pesto or ranch on it after spending the day walking around California Adventure is something I will now forever yearn for. It was also baked to look like a flower, which is just so 2010s Disney. If you know, you know. The close-up of the bread from this angle, though, is fairly uncomfortable if you look at it for too long. So, and I also like that it was described as super fun. The bread was super fun. Next, guests were offered an option of an antipasto for the table or grilled vegetable dish. Most of the blog reviews ordered the grilled veggies and cheese, and they had nothing but positive things to say about it. So, next, of course, entrees were served, and they all looked fairly common with the mix of options. Most people ordered the spinach and ricotta angelotti, and it seemed to be a favorite on the defunct message boards. But ladies and gentlemen, they came for the dessert. Tables were served with a variety of fresh fruits, mini cheesecake raspberry tarts, biscotti, marshmallow brownies, a lava cake with a white chocolate cutout of Ariel's a topper, and the short-lived but widely popular white chocolate conch shell. When you look at the dessert tray as a modern Disney foodie, it might look almost pathetic. I mean, you can now find better-looking desserts at Pop Century Resort. But between 2010 and now, a lot has changed in the terms of Disney dining. For contrast, here are the dessert options at Ariel's Grotto, and this is what Napa Rose serves now. Nowadays, there's teams of people who work for companies like the Disney Food Blog. Disney has seasonal food guide releases, and Epcot's biggest pull is its food festivals. And the Walt Disney Company has noticed this. I think one of the things that makes Disney stand out compared to other theme parks is the food offerings. In 2010, though, this kind of culinary theming at a sit-down location was new. This is why I personally believe Ariel's Grotto has historical Disney significance. Without Ariel's Grotto, we wouldn't see the elevated character dining experiences that are so popular today, like Topolino's Terrace. Obviously, just like any Disney dining location, there has been a lot of iterations of Ariel's Grotto menu. So instead of wasting both of our time talking about every overpriced meal that has ever been offered, I decided I'm going to talk about the ones that I want to. There's a couple of dishes in Ariel's Grotto Hall of Fame I've mentioned previously, like the white chocolate conch shell or flour bread, but through its 17-year run, Ariel's Grotto saw a variety of edible selections. I thought I'd start with the Grotto Celebration Cake. I think it has such a uniquely 2000s aesthetic. It kind of reminds me of McDonald's or Burger King birthday parties, which for the Disney price is not necessarily a positive thing. But as far as nostalgic purposes, I really, really like this cake. The cake would arrive in a plastic container that was either pink and princess themed or copper colored and Mickey pirate themed. Inside of this treasure chest was a small cake with a flag dedicated to your chosen theme stuck on the left side of the cake. The celebrators still receive their normal dessert offerings for the prefix courses, as well as a variety of memorabilia that include a paper birthday celebration crown. These celebration packages were offered at a variety of locations. Ariel's Grotto was a popular location for celebration cakes because of its princess-themed character dining. I just think that these celebration cakes are just so much more charming than the ones that are offered today, especially how expensive a celebration cake is. I don't know. And it's mousse, so it's heavy, just not. I don't think it's worth it. Around 2015, the dessert sampler at the end of the course started to change. A blog post from 2016 by Brad Johnson via the Orange County Register documented the selection as chocolate dipped strawberry, s'mores cake, and creme brulee. That looks so good. I'm looking at it right now, and I'm like, I need this in my mouth. The s'mores cake in particular is just I know that's got the perfect amount of gooey, creamy, crunchy texture. I need to eat it. According to a review from 2017 by the user Gadgets and Gizmos on the online fandom community Amino, this dessert sampler kept the creme brulee, but added a Madeleine cookie and a fudge cookie meant to look like the ocean. Okay, so this was their review. Rating 5 out of 5. This was my favorite part of the meal. The Madeleine cookie on the right was yummy. It was simple pastry with sugar sprinkled on top of it. It was the right kind of sweetness. The creme brulee on the very left was super sweet. It had a really buttery, creamy texture. It tasted like a very sweetened vanilla butter. The ocean fudge cookie center was delicious. It kind of tasted like mocha to me. It had a really exquisite texture. I also loved how it had a beach theme to it. This overall was an outstanding dessert, and I hope to get it again. This person just seems adorable. Like, I don't know who you are, Gadgets and Gizmos, but I would love to be your friend. Okay, so the last section I'm going to mention for Ariel's Grotto entrees of fame are actually all kids' food items. Now, I'm one of those people who has absolutely no problem ordering off a children's menu, especially if the restaurant is already highly processed, primarily American food. I can 100% empathize with people who might think that's gross, but I'm the first to admit that I love a preset smaller portion size, and I actually think that Disney has pretty decent kid selections, especially if you're a picky eater. Except for the pizzas. I'm sorry, Pizza Rizzo stands. That shit is nasty. So out of everything offered, I think the cutest culinary options are actually the breakfast options from the kids menu added in 2014. They are just adorable. On the Disney Parks blog, these entrees were described as such. And now, the kids' meals for breakfast and lunch match the fun with new creations on the menu. For breakfast, there are 3 new choices. The Sandy Scoop. This sweet features fresh fruit, strawberry yogurt, granola, and a seasonal muffin. It meets the Disney Mickey check guidelines that limit calories, saturated fats, sodium, and sugar. Seashell Symphony is a clever stack of turkey bacon, tri-tip or sausage with scrambled eggs topped with a slice of croissant to create a seashell. It's served with hash browns and cereal, and the cute chocolate chip cruise is a sailboat crafted from a waffle with turkey bacon sail and a side of cereal. Kids are happily digging into these fun creations. Lunch has 4 new dishes. Ursula's Octo Dog is a hot dog carved in the shape of an octopus. A good trick to try at home. Served with mac and cheese and fruit and veggie skewers. Who's-Its and What's-Its is baked chicken nuggets with fruit and veggie skewers. The Clammy Turkey is a turkey sandwich with a bun that looks like a clamshell, served with fruit and veggie skewers. And the Dingle Hopper Angel Hair Pasta comes with fruit and veggie skewers and meets the Mickey check guidelines. And lastly, I gotta bring it back to the white chocolate conch shell. Like I just do. I just imagine this must have tasted like a large chocolate Lindor truffle, and I just knew that it would have smacked. Okay, so now we have show and tell section of the video. I have stuck to my goal of making a little art piece that goes with every YouTube video. I mean, it's kind of easy goal when you only have two videos, but I do like this one. I did Ariel in a mermaid dress. Her hair was inspired by Priscilla Presley, and she has a little like pearl seaweed necklace thing going on. And she's like a little wallet, and I don't know. I think it's cute. There's a little pearl right here. One thing I do like is on the corner there's some detail where it looks like purple gradient, and that purple gradient is actually just little purple Ariel stamps, which I think is fun. I'm proud of myself. I think that she looks great. I think her eye makeup and her hair looks really good. And I didn't mean to, but I feel like our eye makeup's kind of matching today. So
Wait for it. Next summer, Paradise Pier becomes Pixar Pier.
Okay, this is really awesome.
Mom, that's your kid.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the new Disney California Adventure.
On June 23rd, 2018, Paradise Pier was officially reimagined as Pixar Pier. A highly themed overhaul to the boardwalk eyesore that made up the back 1/3 of Disney's California Adventure. Along with this overhaul was a modernly priced dining location to be known as Lamplight Lounge, a Pixar-themed restaurant with a variety of Pixar-inspired drinks and entrees. So on January 8th, 2018, Ariel's Grotto officially closed down. As I mentioned before, Ariel's Grotto is nothing special when you compare it to what's being offered at a Disney park today. But in its prime, this beloved dining location served as a vessel for families to recharge and relax in the transitional period between early California adventure and the California adventure we know today. Disney Parks culture is unique in the sense that sometimes its significance is not attained due to its substance, but what it did for the personal consumer that day. Maybe it served as a quiet sanctuary for your family to avoid the theme park stimuli, or was the place where you met your favorite princess for the first time. Personal reasons aside, Ariel's Grotto has been and will continue to be missed.